Welcome to this explainer on Neville Goddard's truly profound texts. Today, we're going to uncover exactly how to identify and completely eliminate those sneaky subconscious limits that have been holding you back. Seriously, if you've ever felt like there's this invisible ceiling on your progress, well, you are absolutely in the right place. I want you to pause for just a second and really genuinely consider this. Have you ever truly listened to yourself? And no, I don't mean listening to a recording of your own voice. I mean, are you actually aware of the constant invisible trap of your own inner monologue? You know, we all have that voice in our heads that literally never stops talking. Yet very few of us actively pay attention to the story it's telling us.
Section 1. The power of your assumptions.
So, the foundational idea we really need to grasp here is that our external reality, like everything happening in your life right this very minute, is merely a reflection of your internal state. So, what exactly is an assumption? Well, it's the act of adopting a higher concept of yourself and feeling a wish as already fulfilled until it actually becomes your reality. Goddard's premise here is absolutely fascinating. He says that an assumption, even if it's completely false in the physical world right now, will actually harden into fact if you just persist in it. You don't wait for reality to change to feel successful, right? You assume the feeling of success first, and then reality catches up.
Just think about this powerful premise for a second. Your world is your consciousness objectified. To change your outside world, you've got to stop fighting the exterior. Think of it kind of like looking into a mirror. You can't force the reflection in the mirror to smile by awkwardly pushing on the glass, right? You actually have to change the expression on your own face. It's the exact same thing here. You must change the impression on the inside. And the outside? Well, it naturally takes care of itself.
Because you literally hold your reality in your hands. Every single individual creates their own world through their focused imagination and their personal assumptions. You aren't just some passive observer sitting in the audience of a world that's happening to you. No, you're the active architect of the world happening through you.
Section 2, Observing Inner Speech. Okay, so how do we actually spot these hidden assumptions that are running the show? Well, Neville Goddard, the man who formulated these incredible ideas, introduced a primary diagnostic tool to figure out exactly what you're unconsciously assuming, and it's the practice of uncritical self-observation. Now, the key word here is uncritical. You're not judging yourself, you're not beating yourself up over bad thoughts, you are simply stepping back and acting as a neutral witness to the conversations happening in your own mind.
There's a really stark contrast in how we talk to ourselves. On one hand, we've got unconscious negative chatter. You know, that automatic, often destructive mental conversation most of us default to. It's the voice of doubt, of fear, of limitation. But on the other hand, we have deliberate, purposeful, goal-oriented inner speech. To actually manifest your goals, you've got to catch yourself in that negative loop and consciously shift your internal dialogue toward purposeful creation. Goddard shares this absolutely brilliant metaphor for the mechanics of this whole process. He says the mind is a vast ship, and it is steered entirely by the tiny rudder of inner speech. It makes sense, right? Just like a massive ocean liner's entire direction is determined by a small rudder hidden underwater, our quiet internal tongue dictates the entire course of our lives. Basically, wherever your inner speech points, your life is going to follow.
Section 3. The art of detachment from negativity.
So now that we've identified the problem, what's the actual solution? The antidote to those limiting assumptions is reaching a state of total indifference. And listen, true detachment isn't about violently fighting your problems. In fact, if you fight negativity, you're actually still giving it your attention and energy, which just keeps it alive. Instead, true detachment is about elevating your mind and turning your attention entirely away from the problem. This quote right here is a total game changer. Disciplined denial is not a struggle, but total indifference. Goddard calls this unique mental quality the gift of Matthew 8. You basically have to develop an absolute indifference to any sensory evidence that contradicts your goal. Like, if your physical eyes and ears are screaming that you're failing, disciplined denial means you are completely indifferent to that feedback. You just hold firmly to your assumed state of success. All right, let's break down Goddard's exact step-by-step formula for navigating through life's troubles to reach these higher levels of consciousness. Step 1. Uncritical observation. Just identify that negative inner speech. Step 2, total indifference. Withdraw your attention from that negative state and do it without putting up a fight. And finally, step 3, assuming the wish fulfilled. Step entirely into the feeling of the reality you actually want to experience.
Section 4, Your New Mental Diet. Okay, so once you've successfully detached from all that negativity, what exactly should you feed your mind to keep this new state going?
Well, the mind is honestly just like your digestive system. The source texts emphasize that man lives not by bread alone, but by becoming a drinker and eater of the ideals he wishes to realize. It's pretty simple. Just as junk food destroys your physical body, junk thoughts destroy your physical reality. You've got to consciously feed your mind to reach those higher states.
This means strictly adhering to the rules of this new mental diet. First, feed your mind only with ideals. Second, set a precise mental target. You've got to know exactly what you're aiming for, or your mind is just going to wander off. Third, refuse all negative suggestions, whether they're coming from other people or from your own old habits. And fourth, persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Because here's the truth. If your mental diet doesn't change, your personal story is going to remain exactly the same.
And that brings us to the ultimate goal, the creative union of word and mind. When you match your inner speech, which is the word, to your fulfilled desire, your mind, you literally create a direct path from the inside out. Once your imagination and your inner conversations are perfectly aligned, watch what happens. The outside world will instantly begin reflecting your completely new reality.
Which brings us to the end of this explainer. But I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative challenge. What will you say to yourself right now? Remember, your mind is the ship and your inner speech is the rudder. You now have the exact tools to identify your limits and eliminate them through detachment and a brand new mental diet. So take immediate, conscious control of your very next thought, because whether you realize it or not, it's actively building your tomorrow.